9 lives, 9 chances to get it right. This week, we're revisiting a film that might have used up all of its lives. The 2004 film Catwoman. Get ready for some serious, head scratching moments, questionable CGI, and the burning question: did we judge Catwoman too harshly? Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we are talking about the 2004 DC Comics live-action movie Catwoman. But before we dive in, let's get into some housekeeping. If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here's a few ways that you can.
Leave us a review, please. Pretty please. Apple, Spotify, Podchasers, iHeartRadio, Good Pods, your favorite platform. Go ahead and give us 5 stars. Don't give us crappy reviews. We don't want those. But positive reviews, yay!
And while you're there, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can get updates when new episodes are live.
And head on over to patreon.com/no more late fees, become a Patreon bestie, and get some exclusive content, stickers, lives, access to our Burns Aughts playlist. You can even get a birthday shout out.
But this week, we are not alone. Joining us is our returning guest and pop culture expert, Ashley Boyd.
Hello,
Welcome, Ashley.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
We're so happy you're back. I can't wait to get into this movie with you. If you want to get to know Ashley a little bit better, check out our Ever After episode, as well as our interview with her that we did last season, and then come back later this week as we discuss movies that are so bad they're good in our bonus episode. Okay, Danielle, let's scratch into Catwoman.
Scratch. I'm going to keep it simple and brief.
Okay.
Catwoman follows Patience Phillips, a timid graphic designer who stumbles upon a corporate conspiracy and gains superhuman abilities after a horrific attempt at her life. The movie stars Halle Berry, Benjamin Bratt, Sharon Stone, Lambert Wilson, Francis Conroy, and Alex Borstein. The movie was directed by Pitof. I don't know. Written by John Rogers, John August, and Dale Launer.
Okay, so 3 men wrote a women-centric movie.
That sounds about right. It's a comic book movie.
And you can watch it on Prime. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best would play and repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
And same-day rental.
Go ahead and play in the trash, kiddies.
Some toxic
because it's
waste.
garbage.
I am a fervent Batman person. I was so excited for this movie. Okay, I remember Halle Berry was on the cover of Harper's Bazaar, and it was like she did a whole spread to promote this movie. I ripped all the pictures out. I had them on my wall. I was like, Catwoman, yes, because this is before the internet like that. So I didn't know her that the one that they gave her a different name. Nobody was in Gotham. I thought this was an origin story, some Batman year 1 type bullshit. No. It was terrible. Same day rental. I wouldn't even look. Then it would have been like right out the VCR. Wouldn't even rewind it. Just throwing it back at the people at the Blockbuster.
Well, tell us how you really feel, Ashley.
Danielle,
Great.
What was your opinion of Catwoman?
So every now and again, I would like to say I'm like Nostradamus. There are movies I just know I'm not going to do that to myself. The first time I really felt like I did myself right and justice was Wild Wild West.
Don't slander Wild Wild West.
I haven't seen it, but I did not I knew it might be a train wreck. When we have to do it on the show, I might change my mind. Now, when it came to Catwoman, I said the same thing. Did Halle Berry look bad as fuck because she looks gorgeous? Yes. But I knew 'tis not something I needed to see. So this is I ain't seen it.
Oh.
First time watcher.
Oh.
How about you, Jackie?
This was the era where I had my own money and I would
sorry.
just buy whatever came out that week. Like me and Suncoast. So I had a ritual. I would go to Outback every Tuesday with my friend, and then we would go to the mall because Outback was next to the mall. And we go to Suncoast Video, and I buy my DVDs that came out because DVDs came out on Tuesdays. And then we would go to GameStop and buy any video games we wanted to buy. It was what we did. So I owned Catwoman, but I think I bought it before I watched it, if that makes a difference.
I'm surprised you I feel like by the time it came out on DVD, like we all knew collectively it was terrible.
My blinders were on.
Wow. I can't believe you bought it. But all right, let's get into the
Box office.
Yeah. So this movie, they gave this movie $100 million budget.
Can't tell.
And I will die on this. I go into these tangents sometimes because the thing is, DC should not be as far back in the game as they are. They should not, because they have always owned all of their properties. They definitely weren't going through the bankruptcy situation that Marvel was going through during this time. They've always had a leg up. And what I never understood is why, when you have source material as good as the comic books, and then you have a banging ass animation team, the animation, the movies from the animation team were always on point. The TV shows from the animation, always on point. So I could never understand why they couldn't get these motherfucking movies right. The same thing goes for when we started getting into, they made Smallville. So now we're playing with the formula, making it fun. We're seeing shit that works. Why, when you go to make the movies, do you do stupid shit? Why do you give the new Superman movie to that fucking pedo who fucked up the X-Men movies and don't get Tom Welling to play fucking Superman and transition that shit? Yep. Why do you not get the guy playing fucking Barry so well on that damn show that lasted 9 years to play the fucking movie instead of that other pedophile crazy person?
Yep.
Why do you keep on fucking up your bag like this?
Don't get me started. You see this? You see the amount of money that I've given to tech. This is not even a small portion of my collection, okay? I could talk about DC breaking my heart for years and not have scratched the surface of the shit show.
Well, when we get into how we got here, you're going to be even more upset. But the film received negative reviews from critics, obviously, and many of them considered this movie to be one of the worst films of all time. Now, all time is a lot.
That might be a stretch.
That's a little bit much. We've seen some shit on this show, and I would have to say it's not even that serious. But the criticism was directed at the performances, the direction, the visual effects, the editing, the costume design, the pacing, the plot, the score, the dialogue, and of course, the unfaithfulness to the source material. Because are we in Gotham? Where is Batman? We've got questions. Also, the film received 7 Golden Raspberry Award nominations, and it won Worst Picture, Worst Actress, Worst Director, Worst Screenplay. But we've got to give props to where props are due with Halle Berry, because she showed up and she accepted her Razzie. I think this is one of those random things where it's the same year she won the Oscar, she won a Razzie or something crazy that.
Yeah, I think she showed up. The Razzies were the day before.
Yeah. But, she took it with a grain of salt. And I'll probably go on another rant before this episode is over, how we've been playing in our sister's face if she had to do this bullshit and how they never gave her Storm properly, but that's a whole nother story.
Ooh, a Halle Berry and what's the Halle Berry wig theory?
Yes.
The worst the wig, girl.
The film appeared on Roger Ebert's most hated films list. He criticized the filmmakers for giving little thought to providing Berry with a strong character story, supporting characters, or action sequences, but he primarily criticized the film for failing to give the audience a sense of what her character experienced as she was transformed into Catwoman. And he also referred to it as being a movie about Halle Berry and her like sex appeal and her beauty versus anything of substance. And it does get that right. If you're just into smut, this is the best movie to just eye candy. But if you like comic books and Catwoman as a character and Halle Berry as an actress, this isn't for you. This isn't for you. And they gave it a thumbs down. And you know what, Raj? I have to agree.
Yeah.
Two thumbs down.
All the way down.
But before we get into cast and crew, let's hear a message from our pod pals.
There's too many Home Alones, there's too many Tremors, but I like to watch them for rotten treasure.
Hello, I'm Kai Bobby, co-host of the Rotten Treasure podcast, where I talk with my friend Jim O'Donnell and a special guest about movie franchises that arguably went on a little longer than they should have. Hey Jim, what movies do we review?
Home Alone, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, Home Alone 3, Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House.
Wait.
Home
Jim,
Alone, Holiday Heist.
We review more than just Home Alone movies.
Tremors, Tremors 2, Aftershock.
Do we have any guests? Do we have guests, Jim?
Scott Campbell, Robert and Donnell from Watching It, Sarah Carter.
Okay, how do people find us on the internet, Jim?
Follow us at Rotten_Treasure on Instagram, at Rotten Treasure on Twitter, Rotten Treasure on Facebook.
You know what? That's enough of your list. So, folks, if you still want to find us, you can listen to us on your preferred podcast app, such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Podbean.com, Google Podcasts, Listen Notes, not SoundCloud.
We're back. There's not a lot of stuff with casting. What do you got?
Yeah. Well, the role of Ophelia Powers was originally offered to Julie Newmar, who played Catwoman in the TV series Batman from 1966. She made a good choice. Although I didn't hate Sharon Stone in this.
No.
Like the two main actresses, they were given crap and they did their best with what they were given.
They did the best that they could.
Yeah.
Josh Lucas was considered for the role of Tom Lone. I didn't hate Benjamin Bratt in this movie. He had good chemistry, but like also
You have chemistry with a wall.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yeah, we could talk about some of the cast, but I really want to get into like how we got here.
Okay.
So as we all know, we as a collective, from a live action standpoint in the movies, we got our Catwoman with Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns, right? And she did fantastic. Everyone was obsessed with her. Everyone was in love with her. So Warner Brothers was like, okay, we're going to start developing a solo Catwoman movie, right? So they started to develop Batman Forever in June of 1990. Now, the thing to remember is that Batman Forever, Tim Burton said, I'm not coming back for that, right? So they started going in a different direction with that shit. But he was still on board to do this Catwoman spinoff. So it was announced Michelle Pfeiffer was going to be cast to reprise her role. Tim Burton said he was going to direct. And the producers, Denise Denovi and Daniel Waters, also were going to return. So you got the same team. But then in 94, Burton was like, I'm unsure about if I'm going to direct this or not. Or am I going to do an adaptation of The Fall of the House of Usher? So things are teetering out. Now we're in June 16th, 95. Daniel Waters, he decides he's going to turn in his script for Catwoman to Warner Brothers. This is the same time that Batman Forever is released. And he even jokes that turning it in on the day that Batman Forever opened may not have been my best logistical move. In that it's the celebration of this, like, they very shifted from Tim Burton's very dark movies of like what was great about Batman into this, like, everybody could see it. It's like a jokey joke movie. And he was like, Catwoman is definitely not a fun for the whole family kind of vibe. Then we get to August 95. Michelle Pfeiffer has an interview and she reiterated that she is still interested in the spinoff, but her priorities are shifting. She has children, she's a mother, and she's got commitments to other projects, like she can't hold off forever. Then the film labored in development hell, and now we've lost Pfeiffer. Ashley Judd has been positioned as she will be taking the role, and this is around 2001. Eventually, Ashley Judd drops out. Now we have Nicole Kidman, which I'm confused because that bitch was just in one of those damn Batman movies as a love
that was
interest.
Uma. Was she?
Yes,
And
she
Oh
was
yeah,
in.
she was
Forever,
Val
right?
Kilmer's.
Mhm.
Was she Val Kilmer's girl?
I think so. Yeah.
Or was she Michael Keaton's first girl?
No, Michael
Kim
Keaton
Basinger-
had Kim Basinger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it was Val Kilmer's girl.
Yeah.
Then Warner Brothers canceled a Batman versus Superman film that they had scheduled for 2004. And so then they decide quickly to produce a Catwoman movie and say, okay, we're going to have Halle Berry do it. Berry says sure, because she was supposed to get a solo spinoff of her Bond movie because she played that Jinx character from In Die Another Day in 2002, and that falls through. So she's like, sure, I'm available. And then it's just shit. We don't have any of the same people that we started off with, that we had hopes, a glimmer of a really good kick-ass Catwoman movie. And they lost the plot, and it goes under reshoots. So imagine how shitty this movie is. At some point, it was worse because audience saw it and said, this is garbage. You guys need to go fix this. And this is the fixed version.
It's wild to me because it's like, I can see like sometimes like when the script doesn't exist, or like a lot of Marvel movies got made like before Disney bought it, before they lost the rights kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you owned it.
Right.
Like you could have just like made the movie with the script and like changed it a bit. But then like, cause like, what was it supposed to be, a sequel to the movie? Or
I think it was like,
I can see how that gets funky. It would probably have to be like, but then it was like, you've got 50 some odd years at that point of Catwoman.
Yeah.
Right? Like Bob Crane and Bill Finger got together and wrote all these characters. You've got 50 years of shit to pull from. And you make a Catwoman movie, and it's not even about Catwoman.
Yeah.
That's what threw me off. Because it's kind of like my beef with like reboots. Like,
Right.
just call it something else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't be so angry about this movie if it wasn't Catwoman.
The
Right?
connected
Feline lady, like you know how like studios will rush to get like a similar movie out, and it's like,
Yeah, like was it like No Strings Attached and Friends with Benefits?
yeah,
the
it's
twin
like,
movies, yeah.
yeah, feline lady instead of Catwoman, like something where, because it makes no sense to
Called it
only
Boss.
use the name Catwoman and nothing about her and nothing about where she lives in Gotham, and like it just doesn't make any sense. Why would you change everything about it?
Yeah, and if
They-
you could have done it like outside of Gotham, because I get like Catwoman, they could have done it in like a different city,
Mhm.
right? Like Bloodhaven or something, where like there aren't people there, and have it be like, oh, this is Selena before she came to Gotham.
Yeah.
But then you
Right.
didn't even name her Selena.
No.
The only thing you took about Catwoman is like the movie or the Tim Burton movie origin story of Catwoman. So she has like supernatural powers versus like Catwoman who's just like a cat thief.
Mhm.
Fine.
Right.
But it's like
The connective tissue to the source material was non-existent. So it's like they partly, you know what, and what I'm starting to think is that somebody said you can make Catwoman, but it can't be Selena Kyle. Because I feel like maybe somebody was still holding on to, we're going to make the Selena Kyle one, or we're about to roll out another Batman movie and we want to have Selena Kyle in that. And not like, even though in comic books we understand a multiverse,
Mhm.
but for these studios execs, I just feel like they're not grasping that. But then they play into it because naming her a different name could be that multiverse situation. And there are scenes in this movie where when the Frances, the character, I forgot what her character name is, she's showing her all the other Catwoman people in the past.
Yes.
You see Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman.
Yeah.
So there is a connection that it's like they are some sort of collective, there's some sort of group, they're coming from the same source, but like not really talking to that without it being some sort of Easter egg. It is a disservice to the people who are watching the fucking movie. Like,
Yeah.
and then you don't understand it. You like, because yes, we saw the 92, 91 one with Michelle Pfeiffer and kind of see her origin story. We still don't grasp what this is, because now this one has superpowers essentially, when the other girl, not so much. You know, it's just like they really did us, the viewers, a disservice, and then these poor actors who are trying to make something work. And I don't know why they did this. And what's unfortunate more than anything is that it was a Black actress having to endure. Like, it's a good thing it wasn't the internet. Could you imagine the fanboys and what they would have put Halle Berry through for this role?
it would have
Like,
been terrible.
yeah, it would have been.
You know, they hate a movie about a woman, even if the character has always been a woman.
Yes. Yes. And then to change her race, quote unquote. Now, Catwoman is a little bit different than some of the other characters because we had Eartha Kitt. So it's kind of like.
Also, year one comic book Catwoman is Black bald woman. So
good. But you know, these comic book boys, because when Zoe Kravitz, who is a biracial woman and still was catching heat for being Catwoman, it's just like, can we get a break, y'all? Aren't y'all tired?
bored. They don't care. They be like, "Oh, you're making a movie about a woman with characters that, even if you don't change their race, there's like a woman. Like, why are we making Captain Marvel?" Like, I'm like Madam Web was. I refuse to see that movie. But I mean, those characters are women. Why are you mad?
Right. That was real. Sony needs to stop that, but that's a whole nother subject. So that is the origin. This is how we got here. So a lot of really dumb people making stupid ass decisions, and the movie didn't turn out well at all. And I think the whole cast was kind of had that cloud like over them for a while, which really sucks because it's not their fault. And I do want to say, you can't tell me Catwoman is worse than the Daredevil movie. I'm not saying that they're like Catwoman is better. I'm just saying you can't give Catwoman all this shit and Daredevil exists, or the first Fantastic Four movie exists. Those movies were not great.
Are terrible.
Yeah.
I don't remember Daredevil, but I remember every Fantastic Four movie has been absolutely atrocious.
Well, I'll tell you this, that scene when they're playing basketball in this movie, it's just a sister scene to Daredevil in the park.
Yes.
Did you not get those vibes? Like, as you're watching, you're like, I've seen scratch the surface. I've seen this somewhere before.
It felt very familiar. My brain didn't reach in the recesses and pull out Daredevil, but I'm like, I've seen this before, but in a different font.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. We don't get like a feeling of what exactly is her goal.
No.
Is she a thief or is she trying to stop the thieves?
I think
You're a
that there was
thief?
no, like, I feel like somebody went and said, okay, Catwoman, right? And they were like, okay, she's an anti-hero, but she's a cat burglar. But then they were trying to still pull in, I think, that stuff from like, I think they were trying to pull in too much stuff from Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman to tell a story. And that wasn't Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, because it was like the supernatural, like coming back to life thing, right? And then there was the personality switch,
Yeah.
where suddenly like she's got like two personalities, like
yeah.
the pre-bite person and but then they don't do a good job of doing that,
That's
of
what
like
it
executing
is.
that either, where it's like you don't get a lot of time with Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman from the beginning of the movie to when she transitions into Catwoman. You get about as much time with her as you do with Halle Berry's Catwoman. So you don't really get the motivation there. But I feel like too much time was spent doing other things. It was just like it just never like connected. It was just like, what is happening in this movie? Like I was like waiting for like, okay, so they killed her. It was literally shot for shot the beginning of Batman
Returns.
Batman Returns.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, she's got to go deliver something somewhere. They catch her, like she's running away. She falls down the sewer and she dies. And the cats bite her, and then she wakes up and suddenly she's like feeling frisky, and she cuts up a leather jacket and gets mixed in. I was like, this is the same.
Yeah.
It's shot for shot the same movie, but done terribly.
Yeah. It felt very much like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but it didn't translate. Like they put so much effort into like other storylines that we didn't need, where it was like you could have focused on her. And I think the only real solid scene where we get that is like where she goes and robs the jewelry store, and then the next morning she wakes up and she's very apologetic and returns all the jewelry except for the necklace she liked. Like
I thought the necklace was going to be like, this resonates with you because it belongs to the cat people.
Yeah.
And you're taking it back or something. Like it would have been great if she finds out like now she's a part of this long lineage that goes all the way back to Africa, and she's got to go find the people who have been hurting her lineage forever. Like something that makes fucking sense. And none of that ever happens. I also find myself extremely irritated by Patient's character in general. Like, I don't like a passive bitch. I can't do it in real life or fake life. Like, make a decision, get a backbone, and stop this shit. Like, you are not a victim. Get the fuck up. Like, what is going on?
I did appreciate that Alex Borstein's character is kind of like the voice of reason. Like she was always like ride or die for Patience, but at the same time she's like, girl, you need to go.
Yeah.
And I felt like she was motivated she should have been more motivated to find out what the hell was in the products, because her friend is sick. Like it would have been something if her friend was just like in a coma and she had to figure it out or whatever. It was all over the place. And then like old boy finds out who she is real fast. Her handwriting is different, but then the same. And then she folds like a little bitch when she gets put in jail. Like she had the potential to be more badass. I would have been able to ignore a lot more if she like leaned into that.
We needed that thing that triggered her into the Catwoman. Like that thing that happens, like someone's really mean to her or something, where she switches that and goes into Catwoman mode and becomes like her bad bitch self. And we never got that transition.
And also, Selena Kyle is not stupid. And I feel like Patience, not so brave. Because that crazy bitch that is her, like, I don't know, villain, plays
Laurel.
her so much. And Selena is smart enough to make sure, you know, she could keep up or be ahead of Batman sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? And now I got to deal with Patience who's just like, oh yeah, I'll take your cell phone and put it in my cooter cat and I'll be back because we're partners in crime. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Because like even like now, because I didn't know going into it that all that stuff about it basically coming from, I always thought it was weird, the parallels, like thinking that to Batman Returns, but knowing that it's like based off of a script that was supposed to be about that Catwoman, that whole movie makes sense to me now.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, oh, okay. Just so much of it, just like, it feels like I'm watching you, like if watching Batman Returns, if somebody took out all the Batman parts.
Yeah.
Because Sharon Stone is just Christopher Walken.
Mhm.
Yes.
Right? But there's no Penguin. Like instead of trying to get Penguin to run for mayor, you know, it's like, oh, we got this cream. It's weird that you never really know like what's in the cream. You just know that, oh, the FDA said we shouldn't do this because, but then it also didn't make sense that Sharon Stone had superpowers at the end.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like, okay, is this cream killing people or is it giving them superpowers? I don't understand. Because if you're telling me that like old girl from Miss Maisel, right, is sick,
Yeah.
right? And then like, and she's like, and you tell in the movie, like, she's like, oh, I'm like, she's sick, she's in a hospital from this cream. This other girl, you saw her whole face look like, you know, it had been cut up. But then Sharon Stone is using the cream and is basically turned her face into marble and she had like superpower. It didn't make any sense. It made absolutely no sense that if like, let's think about this logically, okay? If Catwoman, right? If Halle Berry, Patience, whatever, has supernatural cat-like powers, okay? Why did it take so long for her to beat Sharon Stone's ass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but you want me to believe that after all this time, you've been telling me that this chemical is extremely dangerous and it's slowly killing people, but it made Sharon Stone basically like one old girl from like Death Becomes Her. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. Well,
It
because
didn't make any sense.
because Alec Borstein's character ends up in the hospital, like it's causing neurological damage to her. But Sharon Stone, who's been using a whole hell of a lot more of this cream for a lot longer, are the headaches just a phase and then you move into marble face?
Yeah, so she's been using it to so many different formulas. So each formula they keep upping the ante essentially. Because remember, the scientist is like, okay, I signed up for I didn't sign up for this though. Like, it's getting, every time we try to improve it or make it more, it gets even crazier. And so she's gotten some sort of immunity to it at this point, because the thing is, after a certain point, you either keep on taking it or die. You're fine as
Yeah.
long as you keep taking it. So she keeps taking it, but at this point her nerves are so fucking damaged from putting this shit on. She feels nothing. She feels no pain, nothing hurts. But at the same time, you might not feel it, but you should be able to bleed, bitch. You should be not be able to get up.
Like, how bad is your nerve damage that you can walk? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's like, okay. Like, I'm not, like, and far be it from me as a comic book person to talk about science, because I'll be watching Batman whoop some alien's ass, and I'll be like, okay. But it's just like, at least there's like, you can understand how we got there. I'm watching this movie, like, she's not bleeding. Oh, because her face is marble now or whatever. And I was like, so she's like invincible? But then she fell out the window and she died? And she still wasn't bleeding? I was like,
Yeah.
and it was just like, okay, so if her body's marble, like, is the outside marble, but all her bones, like, how she died? Did everything, like, marble cracks, I guess, if you drop it. It didn't make any sense. And it's like, why are we just not revealing this at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
I was like, it just felt like,
Somebody said, oh, this doesn't make sense. How are they even foes against each other? It would be one thing if she like used the science and had a chemical that could like make Catwoman not be able to move or something, you know, and then the kitty cats Midnight gotta come save her or some shit. Something that makes more logical sense, because we know Lex Luthor doesn't have special powers, but because he's smart and he has money, he's able to do shit, right?
Is it sad that the entire movie, the thing that made me mad the most was that they called the cat something generic like Midnight? I'm like, you're telling me this is a cat with ancient Egyptian Mao powers, and we're just gonna call the kitty Midnight? Like,
Not Bast.
Yeah.
Not Isis. Midnight.
Yeah. That was the point that made me irrationally angry this movie for some reason.
Well, like, so we go back to the beginning of the movie. We meet Patience. She's very timid. She works for this cosmetics company. She's a graphic designer. She gets chewed out every fucking day from her French, I believe he's French in real life, so I'm going to say French boss, who is also going through some changes because his wife has always been the face of the company, and now he is getting rid of her, demoting her, and bringing on a younger, hotter version. I don't know if hotter, but younger version. And so she's pretty pissed, but she saw it coming and is just like, whatever. So they're going through that transition. And the thing that got me is, you're a multi-billion-dollar company. You are the CEO. Do you know how many CEOs know who the fuck the graphic designer is?
Yeah.
You have at least 4 to 5 underlings in between you and the graphic designer. If you don't like a design, you're not going to the graphic designer. You're going to your marketing director, your CMO, you're like a plethora of people first before you're never talking to the fucking graphic designer.
Yeah.
So that was just out of my brain, that you're calling her to the office and then you're going to her desk to just like rant at her. I don't get that.
Usually outsource graphic design? Do you?
No.
Well, I guess if it's
You can
something
have it
like
in-house.
if it was Estee Lauder, right? There's probably like somebody there doing it, but it was just like, I didn't realize it was the CEO, because I was just kind of like, what's happening? At that point, I was already like, all right.
We skipped the part where she has to have her superhero or anti-hero statement at the beginning of the movie via voiceover, where it's like, it starts out as, it all started on the day that I died. It was also the day I started to live. And I'm like, from that point on, I knew.
I hate a voiceover. I hate a voiceover.
Like, who is she talking to? Is it us?
I guess so, but you're already telling the audience this movie is poorly written in 2 sentences.
Like, I hate an expository sentence.
Yeah.
Just start the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she is getting reamed out pretty much. And so she's got to work late to fix this marketing dilemma. And we find out who she has a best friend who's always encouraging her, and it's like the comedic relief. And she has to go, I guess, to another building, a plant or something where they manufacture everything to bring over the specs, because the product is supposed to roll out, it's supposed to launch. And when she gets there, I get irritated again because she's like, hello, 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 hello. And as soon as she heard those people talking, she should have just walked in, because I feel like if she had just walked in, they wouldn't have thought she heard anything.
Yeah.
And she could have gone about her business. But no, she's saying, hello, hello, hello. And then they start, of course, like fucking James Bond villains, telling the whole plot of what is going on with this horrible beauty product. And so she hears it, and she, of course, hits something and it falls. And so now they're like, who is that? And so the security guards are trying to track her down, and they send her through some sort of, she runs through some pipes and they flush her down the sewer system, and she's pretty much dead. And then here comes Midnight and the crew for some catnip, and they scratch and bite up on her. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I would have been sneezing in this scene, sneezing back to life. And she wakes up the next day. I believe she's like, is she not on a shelf or something crazy? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, she's perched somewhere.
Yeah. And Midnight is there. Is he not? Is he there when she wakes up?
I think so. Well, because there was a scene prior. We have exposition we don't need. Where
Right.
there's a scene prior where the bar across the street is open crazy late and playing loud music and she's trying to sleep. And then there's this cat on. Oh, sorry. Our baby deer just ran across the window.
Oh.
And the other thing is Midnight is not black. So why we call him Cat Midnight?
Like a gray and white cat.
Yeah. And he's
Catwoman
sitting on a
always has a black
motorcycle outside of this bar.
She does.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't. Midnight's been like scoping patients out. It seemed like for days, just waiting for her to die so he can lick her back to life. I don't understand.
It's like the thing with the air conditioner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she does climb out. She sees Midnight on like the arch of the building, and she goes and tries to get her. Now this is the moment I questioned, did anyone black write this movie? Because ain't no way. I'm gonna call the fire department. I'm gonna call somebody, but I'm not going on no ledge to save no cat.
And it's not my cat?
Yeah.
No.
My cat, I'll stick my head out the window and be like, hey.
But not get on the ledge. So now she on the motherfucking ledge. The cat is gone. She trying to catch the cat. Cat caught her out in the streets. And then, but maybe I would do it to get a hot man, because now there's a hot cop thinking that she's trying to commit suicide. So he runs up and runs into her house trying to save her. And turns out, she's like, no, I'm just trying to get this cat who's not my cat. And he asks her out because he finds this to be hot.
He's got an ASPCA membership.
And so, they're like, she's like, all right. And then she tells her friend about it. And she's like, oh, I don't know if I should go. Bitch. Yes, you should go. Yes, you should go.
Benjamin Bratt.
It's Benjamin Bratt. There's not even a question. So all of this shit is happening. And then she misses the motherfucking date because she's going through her transition. And he's waiting at the cafe for her, calling her, whatever. And she's just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And she looks at Midnight's collar to try to figure out where the hell he came from, because he is at the root of her problems. Then she finds this motherfucking charmed house in the middle of the city. I ain't never seen nothing like that in Manhattan, where there's just like a regular old house surrounded by buildings.
Yeah.
It's giving up.
Yes, it's giving up. Exactly. That is exactly what it is. And she goes and knocks on the door, and this bitch, somebody need to call the health department. You know what? She was giving me the vibes of that cat lady in Jeepers Creepers. Because why you got so many motherfucking cats? You sick. You're going to get sick. There's a limit on how many cats you can have in the house.
Your lungs can't take
woman.
it.
She's a what?
She's a mystical woman. She's she's a witch. She don't have no allergies. They're not even cats. They're spirits.
Probably right. That's too much. I hope them cats are cleaning up after themselves. There's too much motherfucking.
They're magical cats. They're not pooping or shedding.
And I want a magical cat, because that sounds lovely. And what I don't understand is she brings Midnight back to this lady's house, and then the lady's pretty much like, I got answers for you. And she's like, I can't. It's too hot. It's too much. I gotta go. Bitch, you woke up on a shelf. You woke up on a shelf.
You're eating tuna from a can with your fingers.
There ain't no way.
I feel like if I find out that this cat been following me around, and I take this cat back to some witchy old white woman's house, I might not go inside either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's given, was it Lovecraft Country? I feel like this is the plot. This is like the plot from Lovecraft Country. If it's like on the Tim Burton had did it, it would have been that white woman would have took her inside and like cut her open and then injected her with something, and then she would have been Catwoman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we also see like Catwoman come out because the bar again is playing loud music the next night, but now she got her powers and she like goes into the bar, like destroys their speakers and then uses the kegs like hose as a whip and is just whipping all these bikers. And I'm like, I don't know. This to me was the most entertaining scene in the whole movie where she's just beating up some hairy white dudes. I'm like, okay, I get you. They're keeping you up at night. Fair. Do what you will, Patience.
I mean, I would have been scared of her because that shit's crazy. That
Yeah.
bitch wildin'. Well, I don't know. I gotta go home. But she's doing all this, and after this, she goes and does her makeover. But before this, I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to go on a date with a police officer. I missed the date. Do I call the precinct and say where is he at? And they just tell me they don't know shit
Right.
about me, and I show up at a motherfucking school?
Yes.
Are they letting people just on the premises of schools nowadays, like without any identification?
Look, that's the most believable part about this whole thing. Some public school just letting some strange woman into the yard because she says, I'm with the cop. I mean,
and then proceeds to have a very inappropriate sexual like one-on-one game, but like if the Globetrotters were doing it, because she's doing flips and shit,
jumping off of the walls.
I as like, and he finds this interesting because he's like, you know what? You were on the ledge before, now you doing parkour at the park, and you found me. That calls for a date.
I feel like I don't know why they made like Halle Berry's fine, yes, but so is Benjamin Bratt.
Yes.
And I don't think he's hard up for a woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they made him look so thirsty, like that he's like, oh, this woman chased a cat onto a ledge for inexplicable reasons, stood on top of an air conditioner and almost died. I'm gonna take her out.
And when
like this woman shows up at like figures out where I am somehow, and like is doing like is very athletic. It's like, oh, like none of this is like, but then men are dumb. So you know what? Maybe. I feel like if it was the other way around, that woman would be like, oh, I'm scared for her life, you know?
Right. Like, why are you at not even my place of work? It's all of it scary. What were you going to say, Jackie?
Oh, when he takes her out on their date, the way she eats that sushi was troubling.
She was like,
and you know what was funny? When I was watching that scene, I was looking down. I don't think I was looking at the screen at the moment, but all I heard was, and I said, what in the world is happening? And turns out she was raw dogging the sushi. I don't know.
It was so
weird.
unsettling. And I would have, if I were Benjamin Bratt, I don't care if she is Halle Berry hot. I've been like, check, please. This bitch can't even eat the rice. She can't use some chopsticks. What the fuck is going on?
Very uncultured.
I'd be scared. I'd be like, when I met this woman, she was all, oh.
Right.
And then on Monday, and then Tuesday, she's like a whole different person. I'd be like, is this multiple personality? I would have immediately been like,
Sus.
are you on drugs? I would thought she was on drugs. Because it made no sense. And you're a cop? He's a terrible police officer.
Terrible. But she did those, it wasn't actually raw fish that she was downing. It was chunks of fruit molded to look like raw fish.
So she was having fruit roll-ups.
She was.
Yum. What I do love is that after that scene of her coming back to the apartment after she whipped the people next door, she decides to have a manic ass haircut that she gives her she rocks the best Karen side.
That's the Kate from John and Kate +8 special right there.
That haircut had a chokehold on Halle Berry for a good 15 years.
It did.
I was like,
It-
girl.
It's like, did your friends ever tell you don't ever cut your hair when you're like upset? Like, wait till the moment has passed. Don't. And I did appreciate like her soft waves at the beginning, and then to go, and I know is to like up the severity of like the Catwoman cut, but I'm like, Patience had such pretty hair, and now like we're asking for the manager.
She looked like a wet mop with the other hair.
I liked it.
And I don't know. Either way, it was just ridiculous. But let's talk about this costume, see.
Okay.
Let's cause does every bad bitch secretly have a leather outfit in a box that I don't know about?
I was so confused about that.
Oh,
Because I was like, what? It was giving, again, this is it did a shot for shot fucking remake of Batman Returns. So like Selena just like, well, at least we knew Selena sewed, right? Like that was before we see her do the costume, you already see that she's like has all these like sewing things around the apartment. So it's like fine.
but it was they did a throwaway line with it was Sally, her friend Sally, and the other guy that they work with, and he's like, oh, wear that sexy leather thing I bought you for your birthday, and she's like, I'm never wearing that, and then that's what she uses for the Catwoman outfit.
She just like,
You know what my friends have never done? Bought me an entire leather outfit.
You've been hanging out with
like,
the wrong people.
But like, can you imagine the cost?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's real leather.
And she ripped it all up.
And she ripped it up. And it was just like, also, what proof do we have? Does the sewing come with the cat powers? Like, she's a graphic designer.
Right.
I feel like, what are we doing here? You know how to sew? And it was just like, so unreal. It was just like, okay, if you have a jacket, let's talk about the tenets of sewing, right? Michelle Pfeiffer's costume looked like it had been ramshankled together by somebody cutting up a coat.
Right.
Right? You can see like it was always like coming apart at the seams, right?
And you can see the stitches.
Yeah. Somehow, you know, it's always like how I always was questioned, like, what did Peter Parker, was he taking home ec classes?
Right.
Was Aunt May a seamstress? Like, why is Peter Parker so good at sewing that he could make these fucking suits? Same way I asked about Halle Berry, like the construction of it, because it's like you cut up a jacket and then made it into a bra somehow that support, and your boobs never fall out. And it's like, where did she? It don't make no sense.
Well, apparently her boobs did fall out because she had issues with the costume's practicality when first trying it on, and actually complained that it was too tight and uncomfortable. And then the costume itself had to be fixed a few times for production, as the leather bra she wore would actually fall off at times.
Oh, God.
You can't tell me a man didn't plan that.
A woman didn't make that costume.
No.
Or if a woman probably did make that costume, but told like a man showed up with a drawing.
Yeah.
And was like, yeah, no, this works in the cartoon.
Yeah.
But on like an actual person, like, we can't make, like, structurally it's not gonna hold up. But he was probably like, do it.
Yeah.
Well, the catsuit was designed by Academy Award-winning costume designer Angus Strathy, together with Berry. He worked with Halle Berry. Well, he worked with Halle Berry on it, and the director Pitof, and producers Denovi and McDonald. So Strathy explained that they wanted a reality-based wardrobe to show the progression from a demure, repressed Patience to a sensual awakening of a sexy warrior goddess.
They could have done that with, like, if she had been wearing like a real bra,
Yeah.
like a Xena warrior princess kind of
Yes.
thing,
Yeah.
it would have made sense. But it looked like she cut the sleeves off the jacket and sewed one going this way and one going the other way. And it's like, that's not.
And what was that walk she was doing?
But I did like that song. I remember that song. That one night just ain't
dangerous.
enough.
Yeah.
I used to be my
Well,
jam.
it was the Britney Spears song was supposed to be in it, but Britney Spears had like an accident and then like it got scrapped. So she
We were
wasn't-
robbed of a Britney song.
I know.
Yeah. It would have been the only saving grace. Oh boy.
Ugh.
So now she is Catwoman. She is walking with her boo or her friend. I forgot who she was walking with, but she sees this cool ass necklace in the store in the glass, and then her alter ego goes and goes to go steal it. But as she goes to go steal it, she runs into other thieves, and they have to fight each other. She beats their ass. Next thing in the morning, she has a fucking paper bag full of jewelry. And she feels really bad because she knows it was stolen. She keeps the necklace, as we said. And she writes sorry on the paper bag. So then the next thing is that we see Benjamin Bratt at work at the scene. And we realize that, oh, it's the same person. Like he has his friend. Here's my question. When she bought him that coffee that said sorry, it was literally like 2 to 3 days prior to this incident.
Yeah.
And he is able to give said coffee mug or whatever with the bag that says sorry on it to compare. And I was like, so did you just...
He Joe Goldberg'd it.
He's
Put
clearly
it in her
obsessed with
box.
that woman because all the weird shit that she did, he was like, not turning me off. That he's like, he kept the coffee cup.
That was probably the wildest thing in this movie for me. Like why
not even a scene of him like going through like, oh, I haven't taken out my trash yet.
Yeah.
He just had the cup.
Yeah. He's just like, I got it right
weird.
here.
It'd be one thing if it was just like, this looks familiar. And then you see him, I would have rather seen like a sign of him like just going home, like doing this and grabbing the cup than like, had this cup sitting on my desk.
I would have preferred to see it like Joe Goldberg from You, where he pulls out of a glass case of all the clippings of her hair, her nails. Oh my God. You talk about that Tinashe. Is somebody gonna meet?
They match each other.
Match your freak. Yeah, they match each other's freak for real.
And
So go ahead.
What happens next? After she goes and robs the jewelry store, though, then she goes to a club and orders a white Russian hold the vodka, hold the Kahlua. So she's just sitting there drinking cream at a nightclub.
And doesn't pay for it. I don't see him ask for nothing.
She
Because
didn't
I
say
think I'd just be so stunned. If I was a bartender, and one, Halle Berry's gorgeous, so he walks in and is like, ask for a white Russian, and then asked me to take everything out the white Russian, and then it took my brain to register the fact that this bitch just ordered a cup of milk. I feel like I would just be so baffled. And what could it have cost him? Like $3? I would have been like, I would have sat there and be like, I'll watch this bitch. And she just drink milk at the club.
That's crazy. And then she's there to find one of the bouncers, I don't even know, security dudes, because she's trying to figure out who tried to kill her, who killed her, essentially. So she tracks him down. They have a fisticuffs or whatever. I don't even know what happens under because it's so unimportant. It's so fucking stupid because the source material's there. You don't need to question the bodyguards to find out who motherfucking tried to kill you. There's only 2 potential
It's like,
people.
whose bodyguards are they?
Yeah.
That's why I was so confused about the motivations of the character in this movie, because like, again, they were trying to do Batman Returns, like where Michelle Pfeiffer doesn't know who tried to kill her.
Right.
She doesn't even remember any of it. She goes to work the next day and everybody's like, I thought we killed this bitch. What happened? Like she like doesn't remember, but you remembered that the bodyguard so it was just like, so you remember that the bodyguard tried to kill you.
Yeah.
And there was no point at the logical leap that you're like, okay, I went to go give the artwork, because she remembered doing all that at this point, but you come, you went to your job and the bodyguard of the people you work for killed you. What, you think just for shits and giggles? Like, I was just like, this movie sucks.
And then when she finally encounters, she realizes it's the boss she thinks it's the guy who's been like giving her a hard time.
Yeah.
And she goes and finds his wife. The wife clocks her immediately and says, oh, yeah, it's my husband. And she makes up a horrible lie and then gives her phone. She's like, how do I contact you? And so she gives her cell phone and she puts it in, like, the way the scene happened. It just was insane. Like, she just didn't walk out with it. She opens her trousers and puts the phone in her cooter cat.
It was like, why do you have a phone, Catwoman? It was like, I'm thinking, like, I'm Catwoman, right? And I'm going to go see, like, I don't need to call you. I'll just pop back up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, you don't need to get in touch with me. I'll get in touch with you. Like, you already told me your husband tried to kill me.
I just didn't like that Sharon Stone's character just felt like she was the one in control and Catwoman was dumb. Like, there was no, like, fun comeback, nothing. It was just like,
all of the charm and the witty, like, puns on being a cat from Batman Returns are like clunky lines that don't have any levity to them, and they just are delivered terribly. Like, it's just bad. But and aside from that, I was like, oh, I wonder if, because we are in the realm of got milk ads during this time. So I'm like, I wonder if Halle Berry did a Catwoman got milk ad. Plot twist. I can't find a got milk ad. I can find a Kahlua ad that says the perfect blend.
I thought for sure she had an ad. I gotta go look at my collection.
Did.
Yeah, I see one for Anne Hathaway, but only Kahlua for Halle Berry so far.
Huh.
Absolutely.
So anyway.
Well, it's even more of a hot mess from there. Like, she goes to the opera, Cirque du Soleil, ? I don't know. It's a show. And old Frenchie is with his young new thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts, Catwoman shows up to rough him up a bit. And then her boo is there and the popo there. So she trying to hide. Then her and her boyfriend are in their fisticuffs with each other. Swing a lamp here, swing a lamp there. I don't know what's going on. They're flirting, maybe. Then he's like, in the middle of all this, he's got time to be like, I'm a little psycho, but I'm a loyal psycho, and I love my loyal new girlfriend, and I'm taken.
Yeah, I was so confused. I'm like, that's not your girlfriend.
Y'all have been on 2 dates.
He's crazy. He kept her up.
2 dates. And what did she do? She licks his face, makes out with him. I don't remember what she did, but it was weird. But he's able to use that.
She takes a drink of water, and so he steals the glass because he has an inkling. He finds one of her nails on the floor.
He does, but like, he's able to get a lipstick sample from the kiss on his cheek or something.
It wasn't on his cheek. Once he finds the nail on the floor.
But he compares it. He had Catwoman's...
Oh, yes, you are correct. Yeah, they took a photo of the lipstick on his cheek. You were right. Then the second sample is once he kind of figures out she's Catwoman, he steals a glass from her house to compare.
It was also like the cops. So you're telling me the cop, like, after this, took a picture of the kiss mark on anything, and then what? Swabbed for DNA. It's just like I feel like the nail would have been enough. I think the whole thing with the cup was weird because it's like the necklace was stolen.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That Catwoman stole the necklace.
You know that she has these nails that are very specific.
It's like, it was just like so silly.
He needed to be sure.
But also like, come the fuck on, man.
It's
like
insane.
At least the fingerprints, like it would have made more sense. It's like, okay, you dusted the I'm sorry bag for fingerprints, or you dusted the jewelry for fingerprints, and you had a print but didn't match anybody, and then you took the glass. You saw the nail and you took the glass to check the fingerprints that you got off the bag and the jewelry. Would have made a whole lot more sense than like, oh, the lipstick that she kissed me with, like MAC don't make everybody have the same MAC fucking ruby red lipstick. It's just like, what are we doing?
Hot mess. He finally figures it out and he's like, that's my bitch. Gotta arrest her though. She goes in willingly, crying like a little bitch. Cause this is Patience now. Catwoman, I guess she's sleeping. I don't know. I don't know how the partnership fucking works. But she crying. They throw her in jail. Midnight comes to visit her. And she mad because Midnight ain't brought nothing to help her get out of this shit. But then she said, you know what? It's all right, Midnight. I'ma just walk through these
bars.
Yeah, I'm fine.
She's like, I forgot I'm a cat.
It's like, ow. Fucking fuck. My bad. She gets to the bars and I'm just like, how'd her head fit through that?
How'd her boobs fit?
She's a cat. Cats, cats go like, her bone structure is that of a cat. Don't ask too much questions.
I guess not. Well, she escapes jail, goes back to old girl's.
No, but this is the world's worst CGI scene. I remember the first time, and I remember because that was in the trailer. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, what the actual? I said, no. It was terrible. I was like, I don't want to see this movie. I waited till it like came out, and I was like, Mama, just rent it.
Well, and it's like the worst fight scene ever. It's like, it's nonsensical. This is when we find out Laurel has a face of marble, and so they're fighting, and eventually Patience is able to get her like up against a pane of glass that's like tilted, and so she punches through the glass and Laurel falls. I swear, if you told me they used a Cabbage Patch doll to like in that scene, like the way the body was feeling, I'm like, that body is just made out of cloth.
And it stopped looking like a person. At a certain point, it looked like like Sharon Stone was wearing all white, right?
Yeah,
right.
And at a certain point, all you see is what looks like somebody like went an illustrator and drew like the outline of all white. And had it fall. It's like at some point it was just a white blob. Like you didn't see, like, granted, Sharon Stone doesn't have a lot of hair, but you didn't even see hair, or like she was wearing like a tank top and some pants. All of a sudden, like the whole body was white.
She turned into a ghost on the way down.
It was just like Snow White when the witch falls off the thing, and it's just like the thingy. I was like, this is ridiculous. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
And at some point,
it made me mad because I'm like, y'all had money. Maybe all the
$100 million.
Maybe all the reshoots like took them, And I feel like that was like when Halle Berry was making at least. I feel like she was making like at least $15 million, and I don't know how much Sharon Stone, she expensive. So I feel like half that money must have went to Halle and Sharon or something, because it don't make sense.
Well, that makes me feel better.
How much she was paid for?
But during this whole thing, she does convince her boo that like they should be in this together because she knows who really did this or whatever. The side plot of her friend Sally finding a doctor boyfriend, and she told her to stop using the chemicals,
Good
and
on
she's
her.
fine. Fine.
I missed that whole plot. I was like, who's this man at the end of the movie? I was like, what? Where's this? I was like, why? I was like, okay.
And her little boyfriend or whatever, he got shot at some point, so he bleeding out. Anywho, they able to like wrap this all up. I don't even know what happened at the end. I think she's with her boyfriend. I
It
think she
was
with
so
the
stupid.
cats. I
No,
don't
it
really
was
know.
like, I feel like she had escaped prison, right?
Oh,
But
he
you
tells her to
to
go
tell
back,
me, he
yeah.
tells her to go back. And I'm like, okay, let's just stop and think about this for a second. She's been gone for hours. I've never been to jail. But I know enough about jail where like there's cameras, right? Somebody's doing rounds.
Yeah.
This woman has been missing for at minimum. And don't even get me started, because how'd she get the fucking costume? She got arrested in the costume. Didn't she get arrested in the costume?
No.
At Sharon Stone's house? Was I tripping?
Oh,
I could
maybe
have
she
sworn they
did.
arrested
I
her
think
in the
she-
costume.
Yeah,
What
but when she was
if-
getting interrogated, she was in a different set of clothes.
Yeah, I feel like they gave her like, bitch, you know, we're not gonna interrogate you in this suit. They gave her a sweatsuit. So I'm like, how'd you get the suit back, Catwoman?
She got
arrested. No, but she just leaves. Okay, what point did she go back? Did I miss when she went back to get the suit? Did she make her back?
Midnight came back and rolled it up.
Maybe she was still wearing the suit. They just made her put the sweatshirt on over it.
Or
because her titties couldn't be out at the precinct.
Or she has two suits.
But I was like, she only had one leather outfit. That's why I was like, girl, what are we doing here? How you got this suit now all of a sudden?
What if Midnight is actually a shapeshifter and like shapeshifted in the cell so it looked like Patience was in there until she got back?
Some had to happen because it made no sense. I was like, this woman's been gone for hours. People, the cops do like, sometimes they do their job. Like they do rounds. You know what I mean? So it's like, you want me to believe that this woman was gone for at minimum 3-4 hours.
She had time to kill a white
and
lady.
in that time, not a single fucking person said, this bitch is gone. And then Benjamin Bratt's like, well, you know, she's back in her cell by morning.
Yeah.
She was gone for 4 hours. It's not 1952. Y'all have CCTV. How would you not know that she's gone? Right? And then she goes back, and that just clears the whole thing up. You suddenly can't be Catwoman because Catwoman, we arrested you. Like, the end, it was so like, you arrested this woman dressed like Catwoman. Not like you didn't pick her up. Or did he pick her up not dressed like Catwoman? You know, I don't think they did pick her up dressed like Catwoman.
Well, all you had
I think
to
that
do...
he was like, but it just didn't make sense. But you're telling me you had physical evidence. All that licking and fingerprints and all this shit. You had all this physical evidence that this woman is Catwoman. Right? And the only thing that got her off was like, well, Catwoman killed Sharon Stone, so you can't be Catwoman because you've been out of your cell for 4 hours.
What if, well, number one, to your point, it would have been really easy to prove that it was Patience that killed Sharon Stone because you just get fingerprints from the scene of the crime. Like, you can't fake those. But also, I wonder if Benjamin Bratt just destroyed evidence in the name of love.
But then also, like, wouldn't somebody be like, Benjamin Bratt, so your you rearrested your girlfriend, and now your girlfriend, all the evidence pointing to your girlfriend disappeared. Like, he would have replaced that with you know what I mean? He didn't check it himself. If he had checked it himself on the sneak, but it's like you handed it off to like the crime scene investigators. Yeah. And they did it. It's not like Dexter. Like when Dexter was he could make it go away because Dexter was also doing the crime, the CS. Like the conclusion made no sense. Like she just wrote a letter. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go be." Benjamin Bratt did risked his whole damn life and his job for this woman, and she's like, "I'm gonna go be a badass somewhere else."
Yeah. walking like this with the cat.
The way you move, so scandalous. All about the two of us. It's stupid. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Well, that
I-
is Catwoman.
I feel your pain, friend. Trust me. Some fun facts that we missed. I have some feedback from Catwoman herself, Halle Berry.
Oh,
So more recently, she was interviewed and she said she knew Catwoman wasn't quite right when she was making it. She opened up about how it was more disappointing moments in her career, including the fact that she didn't get the spinoff for Jinx for James Bond. She said it was very disappointing. It was ahead of its time. Nobody was ready to sink that kind of money into a Black female action star. They just weren't sure of its value. That's where we were then. So instead of the spinoff, she decided to do the anti-hero Catwoman. And people were saying to her, you can't do that. You just won an Oscar. Because I didn't do Jinx, I thought, okay, this is a great chance for a woman of color to be a superhero. Why wouldn't I try this? But she soon realized that when she was filming, it was flawed. She said the story didn't feel quite right. She said in reference to Sharon Stone's villain and her evil plot involving harmful cosmetics. I remember having an argument. Why can't Catwoman save the world like Batman and Superman do?
Mhm.
Why is she just saving a woman from a face cream that cracks their face off? But I was just an actor for hire. I wasn't a director. I had very little say over that.
But she read that script. This might be for people do shit like that after the fact. It's like, unless they gave you the Michelle Pfeiffer script,
Right.
you signed on. And then after you signed on, they give you that piece of crap.
Yeah.
You read it, Halle Berry.
And she read the even shittier version before the rewrite.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I can see if they baited switched her.
Yeah.
Right? If she had said, they gave me the original script and then I signed on because I liked the original script, but then like they did a complete whole rewrite and it was something else. But I had already signed on to do this movie.
But
it's very different than I read it and I was like, all right, let's do this.
But sometimes you sign on to the project before you get the script might not have even been done. But the fact that it's Catwoman, like I'll come to you, Ashley. I'm like, you're gonna play Catwoman. We're gonna try to make it close to the Tim Burton version. Like we're gonna make it a solo movie. You're gonna sign on, right?
No, I'm gonna read it.
Well, she signed on.
My daddy is a lawyer. I don't sign nothing until I read everything. Okay?
Well, I think she signed on before the script was finalized. And then when she saw that shit, she was like, well, I'm in it already, you know?
I looked and she got paid $14 million for this movie.
Yeah, so
I mean,
there
it's
you
like
go.
after taxes, that's like a smooth, like 10.
I just hope that she goes on in her career and the next time someone tells her to be any comic book character, she says no. She done enough.
You know, I didn't hate X-Men. I didn't like that they made her do that weird accent, but I didn't hate X-Men.
The way you feel about Catwoman is the way I feel about Storm. And so I will never in my life agree to that.
I didn't.
Nothing raged me more.
I like the movies as a whole. I think I enjoyed the movies as a whole. I never really I feel like the Storm was weird. I think they lost me with the accent. I don't like, I was like, you don't have to give Aurora an accent. She can just talk.
They lost me at her complexion. They lost me at her characteristics. They lost me at her getting hit with some stupid shit from a frog or some bullshit and she like fell over. Like,
you know what happens to a frog when he gets struck by lightning?
Oh, don't.
That was hilarious. I remember just thinking that was so funny. I'm sorry. The first X-Men movie is objectively terrible. The second one is pretty decent. I think they realized that how ridiculous the first one is and kind of cleaned it up a little bit. And then I think was there a third one?
Yes.
Mhm.
Is that wherever is the third one where? Oh yeah, because the third one's when people get the shots.
Yeah.
That one was terrible.
Brett
The
Ratner.
second one was
Ugh.
good. The first and the third were terrible. And then they were just like, let's just make Hugh Jackman movies. And then we got Days of Futures Past, and I was like, why? I was like, do we need these?
I just when I get to heaven, there's a few questions I got. And
Like, Lord, explain.
the X-Men movies, that's on my
When
list.
I get to heaven, I'm gonna have beef with me and the good sisters at the Detective Comics and Warner Brothers. Be like, how, why? What happened?
Explain it to me. Tell
like,
me
just
what
like you
happened. One of Halle Berry's stunt and body doubles is the 29-year-old Hawaiian male actor Nito Lariosa, an expert in martial arts. Okay.
More female stunt performers.
Yeah.
Catwoman has been portrayed in live action by more actors than any other comic book villain. Julie Newmar and Eartha Kitt, Lee Merriweather, Michelle Pfeiffer, Halle Berry, Anne Hathaway, Cameron Binkendova, Lily Simmons, and Zoe Kravitz as of 2022.
And Missy Peregrine appears uncredited as the Hedare factory computer monitor image depicting the bad effects of the beauty product. Is that the girl from Stick It?
I think so. I think you're right.
Oh.
You know I love Stick It.
Also, we did not touch upon the fact that Buline is the worst name for a beauty line I have ever heard in my life.
I thought of cows automatically. I don't know why.
It was just so weird because I was like, no, that would never make it. Like, as someone who worked in marketing forever, that would not make it through product development.
Not-
It sounds
not
like
in the
something you
slightest.
came up with when you were like tired at like 12 o'clock. Somebody just said, Buline. It sounds like it sounds like some girl who's from like the middle of nowhere in Georgia. It's like, my name Buline.
Buline.
Like, it sounds like she should be whistling Dixie somewhere. It's just a weird name.
Well, before we get into ratings, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social?
I am on Instagram and the TikTok at Smashly Boyd.
And you guys can find us at No More Late Fees, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Threads. And Ashley, I don't think I have to ask, but just for shits and giggles, what's your present day rating of this movie?
Burn it. Not even same day rental. Like, I hate that you have to watch this movie, Danielle. Like, you had lived your life not knowing,
In bliss.
in blissful ignorance of the ridiculousness that is Catwoman.
It's hard for me because obviously I know you guys probably think I should say same day rental, right? But we also saw this movie recently called, what was that clown movie?
Oh, Killjoy.
Yeah, that set a bar.
For terrible.
It's beyond terrible. You know those Black Tubi movies now?
I love Black Tubi movies. They're so bad.
They're so bad, but this one was like 10 layers lower than that. And
Oh, now student film.
it pretty much, yes,
Yeah,
that's the vibe.
That's what it felt like.
And so I'm going to say 2-day rental because again, it's not
2 days because you would have to stop it halfway through.
Yeah,
Pick it up the next
I
day.
wouldn't finish it in one sitting. But yeah, it's bad, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
Same day rental for me, based on the fact that they named the cat Midnight alone.
Gray cat, a whole ass gray cat.
Gray cat with the most generic name, and it's supposed to be an ancient Egyptian spiritual power having.
Not even Sphinx.
Yeah.
Sphinx. If they had named it Sphinxy, it would have been better than Midnight as a gray cat.
I kind of
Midnight where? Juneau, Alaska in the summer? Like,
I like Toby.
Toby.
Like if we're as far as ridiculous names for a ancient cat god go,
Yeah.
I think Toby may have been would have been fun.
Yeah. At least it's like, okay, we're just giving cats human names. Maybe that was his God-given name in ancient Egypt. We don't know.
Maybe.
He
I'm
was
still
biased.
I'm still holding out. If I ever get another bunny, I'm gonna call him Mr. Belvedere.
I like it. Well, if you have anything to add to this Catwoman conversation, hit us a better quick drop 909-601-NMLF. Twat us at the Twitters, hum us at the threads, and you can be featured on a future episode.
And join us next week as we go undercover with 2004's White Chicks. And don't forget to come back later this week for the bonus episode with Ashley.
And Ashley, thank you for dropping in, bringing the spirit of Catwoman and hating this movie with us.
Thank you for allowing my very chaotic energy into your space.
We love it.
having
You're
you
back at
on.
any time. And as always, be kind and rewind.